Guys, I gave blood today.
Whoa. I've never done that before.
You've never given blood? It's so much fun.
I'm terrified of needles.
Why are all these people scared of needles?
You're not scared of needles?
No, I watch it go in. It makes me stronger.
Oh, ooh. I can't. I'll be like walk in super cool, be like, what's up? And sit down, like, how you doing? And they pull out the needle and I like grab their arm and like look away and like,
no, it's fun.
You've seen the blood come out of your arm before?
When it goes through the tube, yeah, it just shoots right in there. It's fun.
So
I'm with you, Sierra. In my mind, I'm watching them for compliance. Not that I know what not being in compliance is, but I'm always like, is it going in the right way? Let me look. Okay, is it at the right speed? Okay, what are you going to do with that blood? Like, what am I going to do? I don't know. No. But in my mind, I have to see it.
I'm like, it makes me stronger. Like, I picture like the tiny needle going in my arm reminds me, it makes me feel like I'm like in the middle of a war zone and like I just got hit with like a frag grenade and now I'm in the medic tent and they're like, listen, we're gonna have to set your arm, and I'm like, do it, just do it. And then they like it's preparing me for that.
It's all about prep.
It's all about prep.
What did I walk in on?
There you are. Oh, I thought we'd have to do the show without you, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Podcasting will be a thrill. Grandpa and chill, grandson and friends. Podcasting Grandpa and chill will be a thrill, grandson and friends. With your hosts, Grandpa Barton, Brandon Fox, Phines Jackson, and Sierra Dawes. This is Grandpa and Chill.
It's nice. You get free snacks. Brandon, free snacks. You don't have to try to cook them yourself. It just the one in my town, like down the road, they have like a popcorn machine. Well, I don't know if they're still making popcorn because of COVID, but they used to have a popcorn machine right in there, and it was so nice.
Do they season the snacks?
Yeah, they got some salt. They got some popcorn salt.
You'll be fine, Brandon. You'll be great.
Right?
I almost passed out once actually.
Really?
From popcorn?
Yeah.
From the seasoning?
From the salt, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've actually always wanted to give blood. I'm anemic. I always try to like up my stuff, but they won't let me do it.
Dang.
But whenever I do see them, I'm just like, well, can I just have the snack and the shirt? Is that okay?
No.
Right?
No.
They're like,
take my platelets, anything, please.
You don't want to just look at it. You want to count it. The shirt is really cute. You sure? No. All right.
Can I just buy it? Can you just sell it to me? Like, they do have good merch. Like,
I tried.
When I was in high school, my friend gave me some like Red Cross blankets. They were like these really thick fleece blankets, and I still can't find them anymore. And I'm like mad every time I think about it. They're like these perfect giant fleece blankets, and I'm pretty sure my dog ruined them or stole them. I don't know. But I still haven't found them. But they're just the perfect
Just
blanket.
The perfect blanket.
Red Cross puts in the effort.
Yeah. What's this live show about, Brandon? What are we doing here? What's going on? I mean, I just want to know. Not that I'm expecting anything.
So this is a podcast where we sort of connect intergenerationally with the silent and the millennial generation. Have conversations you usually don't hear from people around the world. So we have an amazing producer.
Got a dope bird.
Old, beautiful man. A younger man, and a hilarious comedic wit. And that's sort of the core team. This is to promote Melissa's upcoming movie and like talk about the process and all that stuff. So
okay.
Which I'm super juiced about. So ask me any questions y'all want. And how do you want to go about it? You want me just to give you what I got going on, or y'all want to ask me stuff, or how do you want to do it?
I just ordered a bunch of stickers from Amazon, and they're a lot smaller than I thought they were going to be. They're blank stickers. I just want to tag. I live in New York, so I want to tag the city with my art. But I thought these were going to be bigger stickers, and I'm upset that I got so many small stickers. Everyone's going to be like, oh.
That means it's going to be exclusive for now.
Yeah, sure.
You're going to be, low profile.
Grandpa. Do you have your phone on you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Rosie, where
Pulls
is
out a
the
rodeo.
It's like a rotary.
Y'all are mean.
It's like a Rosetta Stone.
He gets Rosie and puts like a note on her foot.
He mails it back.
Y'all are mean.
Grandpa,
Yes.
let me see the front of your phone.
Oh, the front.
Rose is like a mirror.
Good enough.
No, what the?
What did you want to see his phone for?
I'm a FaceTime in. All right. Do you see a button that says FaceTime on your phone,
I thought
Grandpa?
it was going to be like, Brandon, I can't talk. I'm on a podcast.
I know.
Yes, I do.
All right, press that button.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're starting our podcast today, and we have our co-anchor, Brandon Fox, and myself, Grandpa, and Phines, a terrific guy who helps with the podcast, and Sierra, our terrific producer, who is very smart and knows how to get things going. And we have a very interesting and quite creative lady on today named Melissa. So go ahead, guys.
You go ahead. Great. He's great.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Grandpa. That was so beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a little uptight because I don't really know what to say, but I'm trying.
Killed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you handled
Killed
it.
tea.
Well,
welcome
thank y'all
back,
for having
Melissa.
me.
Sorry,
I'm
no.
Yeah.
so excited.
Melissa,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your project right now, your movie.
Yeah, so just for the folks out there, just want you to know I'm super excited to be back on the episode. I love this podcast, and everybody on here is really dope. My name is Melissa Muganzo Murphy, and my pronouns are she, they, and sis. And my intention for this year, with everything that I have, all of my being, is to give folks that have experienced uterine health trauma, that are Black identified, a space to talk about some of the things that they've been through in the medical industry and the ways that they've been resilient and still creating families for themselves, and also just healing their bodies and falling in love with their bodies again. And so that's what this project is about. There is a cast of 17 folk, which is really wild. No, 18 folks that are going to be giving their experiences and their stories all about, what's happened to them from their childhood to where they are now. And I'm really honored that people are also excited about the project, because this all started out with a conversation in November of last year, and it has grown out of this world. And I'm just really, really honored and humbled that people are just really to take this journey with me. So I'm excited to talk all things Black uterine health. I'm excited to talk about the project, and then also anything else that comes up, because I love how we dive into so many different things. So yeah.
So, Melissa, is this presently being televised for YouTube or anything, or how do we actually view it?
Yep, great question. So we begin actual production. Right now we're in pre-production with all the paperwork and stuff. People have to sign all the NDAs and all those things. But we're actually going to be filming in August. So that's actually around the corner. Do y'all feel like 2021 is flying by, or is it just me?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, July is next week.
Jesus. Yeah.
Right.
My birthday's in August. I'm like, oh my God, how am I so old right now?
It's literally tomorrow. It literally is tomorrow. So we're literally filming in August, and then we're going to go into post-production. And the goal is to premiere it locally here in Sacramento during Black History Month next year. Okay. And then from there, look for various outlets. So we're going to submit it to some festivals and see how it does, and submit it to some college campuses to see if they want to invite us in to have conversation. Circulates from there. But yeah.
How long have you been working on this idea and this story for making it a movie? Sorry.
Here's the thing. Here is the whole thing. it wasn't the intention. It wasn't the intention at all. I actually was in conversation with some local folks about submitting my own actor profile to them to see if they had any openings. And when we had conversation, they flipped it around on me and said, why are you even submitting to be in the background of a film when you can create your own film and be the star of it? And I was like, what are you talking about? This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I wanted to talk about. Like, I came to see where the money resides with y'all.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, it's really about, you know, allowing people to have an outlet for their own creative talent.
Wow.
And they literally asked me, what's the story you feel like isn't being told? And I knew right then and there, I was like, oh, Black uterine health. There's not enough conversation about it. Visually, there's none. So they were like, you should take the lead on that. I'm like, didn't come here for that. Didn't come here for that. And literally since that day, the idea has grown, and it was birthed at that moment. And now we're here getting ready to go into filming.
Who was this? What company did you go through this with?
Yep. So it's a couple. Their name is Lisa and Kelly. And one of them works in theater production, and the other one works for the state here in California doing compliance work for an organization. And they have been acting and working in theater for like the past 20 years. They have their own theater company. I forget the name of it, but I met them through a friend of a friend. And so I was literally submitting my profile for their theater company. And we're like, you know what? We have another idea.
Wow. How nice of them.
I know. So now when things are happening, I always text them like, hey, y'all, this is where I'm at. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
How long ago was that you had that conversation?
That was in November of 2020. Mm-hmm.
So
and now we're here in June.
So I know that you explained this last time you were here, but for people who haven't, who didn't listen, or maybe they forgot because it was a few weeks ago, why is this so important to you, or why do you feel like this is an issue for you know, like our non-Black womb bearers? Why do you feel like this is such an important issue, or why is something that's, you know, being left to the wayside?
Yeah, so I'll give you on my personal journey. So I myself am a fibroid survivor. I found out I had fibroids through a nurse that's actually no longer with us, who was Black identified, who told me what I had, and when medical clinicians had no name for it. And found out I had fibroids in 2011 through her. Her name is Susan. I want to give her flowers. Susan, where I was taking birth control at the time, and my body had a negative response. And I went to the clinician, and their response to my issue was, let me give you more birth control. I was like, so it didn't work. The baby amount that you gave me didn't work, but you're telling me to double it, and it's supposed to like work. So I end up having extensive bleeding for 8 months straight. And I remember like not wanting to wear anything outside of the color Black. It was hard to drive. It was hard to go to work. And especially it's hard to like try to be in intimate relationships or situations. And so I was like really, really down and sad, and felt like my body was like falling apart. And I called my mom, who was really big into herbs and natural healing. She just like, we don't have to get meds from the hospital. Let's not. And so she called Susan, who was a nurse, and she said, oh, I know exactly what you have. You have fibroids. And I was like, what is that? And she was like, oh, these are non-cancerous tumors that lie in the uterine wall that is really found in Black folks. Like, this is a thing. And I was like, where do they come from? She was like, there's no research of where they come from. We just know that mostly Black folks have them. And they can allow people to be infertile. They can allow people to have, you know, different types of cancer. They can sometimes make people feel like they're pregnant up to night. They're really not. They just have this tumor lying in there. And then a host of body other don't talk about. About that, I went on this like massive journey of like trying to find some type of resolve. And I found a host of Black folks that were like, oh yeah, me too. My aunt, my grandma, my neighbor, my best friend, me. And then people, you didn't tell me. It was like a history of families not telling each other that they were struggling through this. So that's really where all of this came from, is like my desire to bring awareness.
I had heard about this, but I didn't realize that it was predominantly in the minority or black group of people.
Mhm.
I wasn't aware of that, but I had heard of it. Actually, I don't know if it would be helpful to you, but Brandon's sibling, his sister, writes for a medical journal, and she discusses issues like this. You can have an article published.
Yeah, I think it's important to know, like you said too, like Black folks that have these challenges, but it is primarily Black folks that have been found with these challenges. So that's the thing too. Like, so for folks that are like, I'm not Black identified about this, or why it's important to me, is because it can happen to anybody of any race, any ethnic background. It could happen, but because there's no research, that's the reason that this documentary is in place, because it's limiting what people can do, and no one's here to resolve it.
Melissa,
Are you? Go ahead. Ian.
oh,
Sorry.
you just said that people close to each other didn't even know, like within families. What is that? Like, why were they not? Is it shame? Is it like an embarrassing thing because it's so personal? Or
Well, I mean, anything that has to do with like people feel the most confident talking about it, or anything that makes you feel like you're functioning the way people say it's supposed to function, people don't feel it, right? And so there's like shame, guilt, and body dysmorphia, where you're just not comfortable with your body, or you feel like your body isn't functioning properly, and so you just don't want to talk about it. And then there's some things that people feel are just personal. Like, I only want to deal with the external, what's going on in business. Grandmas, they don't necessarily, internally,
I think most people are self-conscious about talking about health problems, about themselves. Most people are, just something that you feel uncomfortable discussing generally. I think it's getting more open. People are becoming more open about it because, everybody's got issues.
I think there's also,
that's right.
Yeah.
Zia, go ahead.
I think there's also just another like layer of it is just there's so little information available to, girls, young women, others about like their bodies and changing, especially people who do like have a uterus or like a womb bear, like you said. There's so little information about it, and there, like you said, there is such like a stigma around even discussing it or like acknowledging that you have one, even when you clearly do have one. Like I know a lot of times, like I went to a Catholic high school and we didn't do any of that. We had a full student body auditorium meeting once a year where some random celebrity guest speaker would come and talk to us about chastity, and that was the extent of it. And so that was it. That was literally it. It's delightful. And so there were a lot of things like when I was growing up that I just like didn't know, and I would just be like, this is happening. Well, I hope that's okay. I'll find out eventually if it was a terrible thing, if I'm dying or not, I guess, And as a child, you just assume that, if there was something really important and like essential to you, like literally living, they would tell you about it, but they just won't. They just won't.
Yeah.
They just won't. And it's interesting too. I mean, we can even get as deep into like, why don't we talk more about like sex freely and being a sexual being and things with our bodies. We can really get into that too. But I mean, just think about folks that come from like hypercultural homes where, families say you're not even supposed to be thinking that. And it's like, why wouldn't I think about that? Or they just feel uncomfortable talking about it. So even if you're inquisitive about it, they're not talking about that. Not at dinner, not at lunch, not on the weekend. It's just, it's just really interesting. And I think what did it for me was when I looked up, my sister had challenges, my mom had challenges, aunt had challenges, and not one of us told each other until I was asking around about fibroids. And then it just started flooding like, oh yeah, your aunt, your cousin, your sister. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize, but the volume is pretty low my headphones. And did I understand you to say anything about your prognosis as far as what you can do to help your own situation?
Yep. And so that's why this is important too, because what happens is when you go to the doctor, right, for Black folks that are going to doctor for fibroids, they give you 2 options, which is you can do partial or full removal of your uterus. So that's all of the good stuff that holds the baby. Or you can go on like hormone therapy. You can take different types of hormones, which are they have the same outcomes. Some people get like the bloating, some people get like really bad acne, some people have horrible, a host of things that happen. So depending on what your jam is, you'll pick that. But for myself, I remember Susan said, "Oh, let me tell you about reduce your hormone intake and to clean up your, totally going to change your life." Vegan cleanse for 3 months, and I stopped bleeding in 2 weeks. I was bleeding for 8 months, and I stopped bleeding in 2 weeks. And I thought, the doctor never said that. The doctor never even asked, like, "Hey, let's look about your water intake. Let's look about your diet. Let's look into, are you stressed? Let's look into, none of the holistic plant-based options to see if that would be an option for me." And then I didn't qualify for hysterectomy because at the time I was in my 20s, and I was literally told from another woman identified doctor, "You're probably going to want to have a baby, so I'm just going to deny you." And so I said, "Oh, look, really one of my interests. I want to, come into parenthood a different way." They were like, "We don't want you to regret this decision, so it's a no." And so that frustrated me because people are adults and can make their own decisions. But the other thing too is like, why aren't there holistic measures being taken to heal this? Because we're clearly not born with this ailment, which means it grew over time. So something is being injected in our bodies that's making it grow. And I had a lot of questions about that. And because, depending on the type of clinician you are, you learn very specific. Every doctor is a dietitian, right? Or in the holistic practice, or know things outside of the scope of the body that they went to school to get credential for. Like if I'm a knee doctor, then I'm messing with all the knees, right? I'm not doing uterine health or arm health or head health, right? I'm just focused on knees. And so you start asking questions about alternative options, and they're like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Melissa, I know you did this last time, but is it cool if you just give an explanation of like fibroids and like the sort of actual descriptions and stuff like that for people that are unfamiliar?
Yep, no worries. So fibroids are benign tumors, so non-cancerous tumors that can range in a size of a pea, like a little green pea, or a size of a grapefruit. It can range in that size. And what happens is people can have them in the lining of the uterus, outside of their uterus, or inside their uterus. And they're basically like little mucus-based cysts that sit there. And what happens is, depending on if you want to have a baby, or if you do have a period, those fibroids, those tumors, get in the way of both of those things. And so some people have faced miscarriages because the baby is literally fighting to grow next to this grapefruit or a bunch of grapefruits, and there's no space for the baby to grow. Or as the period takes place, there's a lining that's supposed to close, and it can't close because these little grapefruits are in the way. And so depending on what's going on, that could happen. You may have heard this term though, endometriosis. Does that sound more familiar?
It does sound familiar, yeah.
Or I think Gabrielle Union was really vocal about her process, adenomyosis. So all of those are all related to these non-cancerous cysts that grow in the uterus that prohibit being able to hold a baby or get pregnant or birth a baby.
Gotcha. They're non-cancerous, but I imagine it's painful, right? Like,
and depending on like how you choose to, if you want to have surgery, if you want to just remove those and not the uterus, depending what you want to do, there's so many more options now, which is tight. But still the development of them is what people don't know.
Yeah.
They just kind of show up to the doctor and it's like, oh yeah, you had them. And it's like, but how did I get them? And they're like,
I'm still trying to like do the mental math to math the math. The math isn't mathing. I'm still trying to figure out like the doctor that told you, we have some solutions, but you may want a baby. So we're just not going to try anything. Like,
yeah,
you're like, like, I'm just trying to figure out like, where would the baby go? You might want a baby. Where, how, what are we,
so
what is
how
the
was I going to
solution?
do that?
How are you going to have a baby if the baby can't even survive within your uterus?
Yep. Mm-hmm. You see that headache you're having? See that headache? You see how you were holding it?
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like,
it is.
Like, it's just so frustrating because there's like a fine line between being like a health advocate for yourself and being one of those obnoxious patients that acts like the doctor doesn't know what they're doing. But like when when like your medical professionals are just outwardly ignoring your problems, like you might want to have a baby one day. So just keep bleeding randomly for the next, 8 to 25 months and just see how you feel. Just see how you feel and just see what happens. Are you familiar with A Christmas Miracle? Maybe work on that, December's coming up. Like
it's wild and you'd be surprised. So, I was super nervous to put out a casting call because I'm usually answering the casting call myself, submitting my own docs. And so when I put out my own, I was like, is anybody out there? So, and people start submitting and I got all these DMs and all these emails, people that are like, oh my gosh, somebody understands. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm too ashamed to submit, but I'll definitely go to the launch. I'll go to the movie. I'll reshare it. And then of course, my grandfather, my grandmother, and what was really important for me which is why I say room holders, is to uplift our non-binary and trans folks that are also facing similar situations, but are also facing additional layers of discrimination in the medical field. And so if I can't even go to my doctor and they respect me as a patient, right? I can't even get my needs met. I can't even be seen in the way that I need to be seen. How can I even tell you that there's other stuff going on? So it's really important for me to uplift, Black womb holders and really open up the conversation about uterine health overall.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Melissa, you mentioned doing a casting call. Approximately how many people are in your cast?
Yeah, so there is 18, including myself. There's 18. Mm-hmm.
And those are all from the casting call?
The cameraman and the director and everybody. That's quite a few more people, isn't it?
Yeah, so some of the folks on the production team are also going to be in the cast, which is two folks. And then, of course, we have folks that are actually, the cinematographer will not be. But yeah. So I'm super excited. And all of those people, Brandon, are from the casting call. They had to all submit a 2-minute video, which is interesting because when I had them submit the video, I let them know like, oh, y'all are all officially like actors now. And they were like, shut up. Okay, this is kind of cool. Yeah. So I feel like it's my own version of like activism, right? Jewel activism. Absolutely. To show up and create a space and an opportunity for people to share their story and to find healing. For some of these folks, they've never said this out loud. They've just been kind of like battling this in silence. And then I saw, did y'all watch Malcolm and Marie by chance?
Not all of it.
No.
Okay. Sure. If you're having a good day, don't watch it.
Right.
Because it's going to take you to dark places. Yeah. If you're having a bad day and just want to like wrap the day up in full anger, watch it.
Okay.
But the movie's good overall. It's incredible acting, but it's an emotional roller coaster. So it's going to take you to some places. But what Zendaya did, which I thought was super dope, is she gave her entire crew 1% equity in the film. So when it got bought out by Netflix, all of them got checks. And so I thought that's another layer. So I added that same type of incentive to everybody in the cast, like in the event in history, right, that this gets picked up by a major network. Each of you have spent so much time and money just trying to be seen and heard that this check is totally yours, like all yours. And so I wrote that into some of the ways that I'm going to be paying them out or compensating them for the document.
That's great.
Nice.
What is the length of the film?
Yeah, so the goal right now is to capture an hour and a half, so 90 minutes of film. That's including the credits and the intro, and to be really creative with the stories. But what I'm trying to do, and it depends on, again, if everybody gets through the 2 hours of their film time, because again, it's emotional, is that there is a conversation after the documentary, right? So it shows, it hits people the way it needs to hit them, and then the cast get to go on tour and share their stories with folks. So I have this vision for what I'm doing. So we'll see if it gets to be executed the way that I see it, but that's the vision.
It's cool that you were nervous that no one was going to answer the call and you got 18 people answer. Like, yeah. Or I'm sure even more than 18 people answer. I don't know. But
yeah, I think in total I got 24, which I was like, for me?
Wow.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
And then, 18 folks. Yeah.
Wow. There's so much cool stuff you said that I would like to get into. There's so much stuff you said that it was like, I mean, you can go into even race and what you were saying about diseases that different races get when, everyone's human, but there's some things that there are like people that get certain diseases, and it's cool to go like look into it and go why, because it's I think it's more than just it's definitely more than just a race thing. There has to be society has to do with it and how people are treated, and that also has to do with misdiagnosed or even having like control over a woman's body, especially Black women. I would think I've not personally had experience because I'm not a Black woman, but I do have 3 sisters, and I have and I worked in the medical field, and I definitely do see a different way about how they go about certain different people. But like I know your body better than you. You don't know this. You don't know that. I mean, I personally would like to get more into that or hear more of your experience or your opinion on those types of things. There's something else you said. You said so much great stuff. Like you really could be, I think we could be sitting here talking for days.
I honestly feel like we could.
Yeah.
So this is my speculation. And I say speculation because I don't have data to back this up. Because you know how society likes to see that.
Yeah.
But my speculation, what I know to be true, my truth to power is, this is systemic and intentional. And so when I think about just how neighborhoods are created, right, and food deserts are put together, right, when city developers come together to establish neighborhoods, there are specific interests based on the zip code of what should go there, right? And so some neighborhoods like to put Whole Foods, they like to put co-ops, they like to have farmers markets, and some neighborhoods get 7-Elevens. Some neighborhoods get, liquor stores. Some neighborhoods get check cashing places, right? It's very intentionally put together, right? And then from there, some neighborhoods get houses. Some neighborhoods get apartments, right? Some neighborhoods get access to parks. Some neighborhoods get community pools, right? And so when we think about stressors that take place in communities that don't have the same type of quality of life from inception, right? The people aren't even there yet, but the intention about the inception of the neighborhood already puts into place some of the stressors that folks are going to combat, and food and healthcare and mental health, right, are huge, huge indicators in folks having quality of life. And that's just in general. That's not even taking into race, right? Just race or gender, just in general. And then we get into opportunities to learn about health from a holistic perspective at a young age. Not everybody has the time and the environment to be taught about health and wellness and holistic practices at like 5, right? When you're like, I need a snack. If not, I'm gonna stomp through here. I'm gonna cry. Everybody's gonna know that I'm hungry. I'm gonna cause a scene in this store and everybody's gonna know about it, right? Some people get apple slices, some people get chips, right? And so when we think about things that are like put together, human made versus what's true and nature based and what's supposed to feed us and develop us. And as we get older, we have to sit back and think like things are happening inside of our body, right? And because for communities of color, Black folks, we're taught to cope, right? If something is wrong, we just cope. We don't say that something is wrong. It's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of complaining. And we don't have time to complain because there's other larger issues that, that are at large. We're not going to go to the doctor because one, I don't got time to go to the doctor. Who knows if I can afford to go to the doctor? And what are we going to do when we get there, right? All of that's taken into account. And so as you grow up, things are happening to you. You're not resolving them. You're just coping with whatever mechanism you put into play. And then here you are as an adult, right? You never were taught to advocate for yourself. And then you get to an adult and things are happening to you. What do? You cope again until you can't. And if you can, you may seek out medical support. And then depending on the diagnosis, you just take it from there. So for me, when I realized that diet alone changed my entire outcome and how I could handle this, I knew something was up.
Right. Yeah.
I knew something was up. That for me was important. And to this day, I still have a plant-based diet to this day. And again, all of those symptoms are gone. And I remember telling so many of my friends like, oh, well, this is what I did. And they were like, girl, I'm not giving that up. You crazy. So it never worked out in their world. Like, Melissa, that's your choice. I'm not doing all that. But for me, I was like, this was actually an easy decision. I can change this. I don't have to worry about this. That's easy. But for other folks, it just wasn't. And that for me says this is economic and systemic. Yeah,
for real. Right when you said that about changing your diet, just made me think of like, well, that's something's up with that. The fact that all this food that they're giving, or they're advertising to me or trying to sell to me is doing that much to me. There's something up with that. That's kind of sketchy.
That's crazy.
It's just really interesting too, because even with some of the ways that they society, right? The big they, even advertise like plant-based foods, like there's still so much urgency for people to grow food faster and bigger and brighter that even that sometimes is not the healthiest option because there's all this injecting of that. So it's a large conversation. I mean, from shelf life stuff to, people just trying to survive in society,
Can you get any more help as far as the holistic approach from osteopathic physicians, DOs, relative to MDs or chiropractors? Would the regular family physician be aware of this if you went to a family physician? Would they know what was going on?
Yeah. So I think for myself, it was when I went to the OBGYN that had the conversation about, it was like they framed it as a women's health issue, but it really is an overall womb issue. But that's where I first learned about it, was in women health departments and conversations that were happening there. But I do see a holistic practitioner that also knows a lot about like internal diseases and environmental diseases and how they play a role in the body sustaining itself. And so that's someone that I see once a month. But I grew up, again, my mom is from the West Indies and my dad is from East Africa. So I grew up with holistic practices being something that we just do, like monthly cleansings, herbs, teas, aloe plants, like all of that was like regular practice for me. So when I introduce those concepts to other folks, they're like, here Melissa go with her plants. Okay, they don't got time. They don't got time. But that was normal practice for me. So I do see a physician that is familiar with internal cleansing. Mm-hmm.
So Melissa, can you repeat what foods help cause or causal and for this condition, and what foods you should eliminate, basically?
Yeah. So I want to definitely go on the record and say I am not a dietitian. So for all the farmers out there, don't be coming for me. Don't be coming for me. But for myself, I saw negative responses when I had like beef or pork or steak of that matter. When I had chicken, those were things that would completely like heighten. If I had anything dairy based, so like milk, not lactose free, but actual like milk, regular milk, heightened yogurt, ice cream, all those things. And I started to think about like, oh, yes, all of this comes from animals that have their own set of hormones, right? So those hormones times hormones used for whatever reason that are prescribed by the doctor, right? Times what I'm personally producing. My body went into overload. And that's what led to, for myself, that's what led to all those symptoms.
Wow.
It's amazing to me that that just, reducing or cutting out intake of certain foods can make that much of a difference in your health,
Including sugar. That was something that I found to be important too in the cleansing. My holistic doctor was saying, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, which is in like everything. It's literally in everything. They were like, yeah, you need to be mindful of your sugar intake because all of the cysts, they thrive off of sugar. They feed off of sugar. So she was like, if you eliminate the sugar, you'll reduce the mucus, which helps the cysts to develop and stay alive, which will ultimately help them shrink. And y'all may have heard of Dr. Sebi, who did a bunch of like holistic cleansings. Are you familiar with Dr. Sebi?
No.
Oh, okay. So myth has it, Dr. Sebi, the feds actually came for Dr. Sebi and shut down his practices because he cured folks of cancer and AIDS in the islands. And he did it through holistic cleansing. He went to court and like beat the case because the feds were trying to, say that he's doing illegal practices, but then he like defended himself and won. And then, they don't like that. And so they shut his entire practice down, but he had cured like 80 patients in the islands. So people would pay money to just go see them. It would be with them for a couple of months. He would do a cleansing and it was all about like mucus removal. So it was powerful.
Yeah.
It was powerful.
This is, I guess, is just side note because I'm just getting so hyped by all the stuff that you're saying. But I can't wait till you make multiple documentaries. I look forward to you going down your journeys of multiple things that you have to say. So that's pretty cool.
It's so funny you say that because I guess the intention wasn't even to be a producer for documentaries, right? It was just to be able to share my personal story, and it's become an entire new world. And I'm just really thankful that I listened to that voice, because all of us have those voices of like, this would be a really cool idea, but sometimes we'll be like, and we shut ourselves down before we even give it a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
You mentioned the problem with corn syrup. And unfortunately, most of the soft drink companies switched over from what they call prime sucrose, which is the normal sugars, to the corn syrup. And corn syrup is very deleterious to our health. Mm-hmm. It also causes you more weight gain, but they save a little money, make more money for their stockholders.
Am I wrong in thinking there wasn't even high fructose corn syrup that long ago? Like all this stuff is relatively new, right?
The corn lobby has been very powerful. Like I remember as a child, like seeing little bits in the news and stuff about corn syrup slowly making its way, the corn lobby making its way into all of our food products. I do remember that.
Yep. I do hear. Yep.
That sounds so evil. The corn lobby. I can't. Yeah.
Isn't like a scary movie? Doesn't it sound like it?
It is.
It's true though. It's real life. It's
Black Mirror shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And also a lot of this sounds conspiratorial, but it's like factual, is a lot of the health nutrition studies and science are backed by companies that have an interest in them having good results for their products. Hence high fructose corn syrup, or tobacco companies did that a lot. And,
Bro, Got Milk was a lie. Did you know that?
I think, yeah.
All of Got Milk was a lie. Like, there's no reason for us to actually drink cow milk. Like, there's no scientific reason. It was all big dairy. There's no come for me, big dairy. There was no reason for people to try to make me drink milk, these nasty milk cartons as a child. It wasn't going to make me stronger. It was never going to make me taller than 5'2". It was all a lie.
Big dairy, I had nothing. I'm not associated with her. Please do not come at me.
So you're scared. So you're not scared of the beehive, but you're scared of big dairy. Okay.
Yeah, duh. One runs America. One doesn't.
Yeah, and one of them is Beyonce.
You see, And you see how they put this marketing around these ideas to push for more money. That's why it's like when you when you think about it, it's really economic based, systemic based. Like there was a dollar amount in mind, and they were like, just like the war on drugs, all of that, all of these things, these huge campaigns were targeted, right, to increase the consumption, all for economic gain. I mean, even think about when people are running for president, the states that they stop by first, the corn folks, the farmers, they have to get there because the money is outrageous. I mean, what do you call them? The corn folks? What do you call them?
Corn lobby.
Corn lobby.
It is.
They run Coca-Cola. They run Pepsi, right? That is like the number one product in all of their things. Chips, snack, you name it. There, gummy bears, Powerade, Gatorade.
Yeah, you're right.
Even some of the spritzers, like which I think right now, like Truly's is like number one in like spritzers.
Yeah,
what a mastermind of marketing. The fact that corn isn't even that useful for humans, in the first place. Like we don't even digest it.
Yeah,
and they're like, you know what? I'll make $1 out of 15 cents. I'll show you.
And did they ever?
They put corn in the gasoline. That's how ridiculous. They literally are putting corn in the gas. Like who thought of this? Who thought of corn in the gas?
You know what?
Eat it? Oh, okay.
You know what's crazy is Grandpa comes from a soda family. That's
really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Take everything you said about
Which one? Which one?
Grandpa?
You guys wouldn't have heard of it because it was a large local company in Philadelphia, but they're not in business anymore.
Did you guys use high fructose corn syrup?
Did you reject the corn lobby? Is that what happened?
You can't reject the corn lobby.
Did you reject the corn lobby? Is that what happened?
Well, I had nothing to do with it. The business changed because supermarkets got to where they charge. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. They charge money to put your goods on the shelves. They charge for the shelf space.
Do they?
And that changed the business dramatically.
Right.
So, and also companies like Coke and Pepsi and Canada Dry have a lot of muscle. Especially if they're local and they're national.
And the full weight of the corn lobby behind them.
Rockefeller did with gasoline and cut the prices way down and basically put you out of business.
Oh, I can see that. And then even the product placement too. I remember I saw this documentary that talked about the placement of their products is really aimed at certain folks, like kids. They'll put certain things on the bottom level, or for like for parents, they'll put stuff high level. It's all intentional, right? Or they're like these specific aisles that are all Coke products, but you don't know it.
Right.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's weird moving from Indiana to New York, going to even grocery stores, because Indiana grocery stores are like the Walmart, Targets, whatever. I see the exact same thing. Like it's all craft or whatever they show me, And then I come here to New York and there's just so many different places that are brands I've never seen before, and fresh food that I've never even seen before. And it just shows you even more so like, it just made me think about, like you were saying earlier, like what neighborhood I was born and raised in, what options I had. And like, there's brands I didn't know anything outside of craft, and then going out here and it's like, seeing things that are whole grain free or all these different,
right.
And the healthier food is always more expensive now.
Every time.
It was never like that. Produce, the cheapest, healthiest produce historically was always cheaper, and now it's the opposite.
Oh, you scared me because I ate corn tonight.
You please the corn gods then.
And my birds love corn.
I love
corn. They like to pull off kernels. They just love corn.
I actually miss corn on the cob because I just got these braces 2 months ago. I actually miss corn on the cob. I like eating corn too. And I forget the name of the movie on Amazon, but it was made by the guy who made Get Out. What's his name?
Peele.
Peele. So it was coming with a message. And it's all about how basically the government recruited Nazi scientists to come and develop all of their intellectual property here, because they figured, well, we don't want to waste that talent because another country would take that talent, because clearly what you did was talented. This is what they were thinking in their mind. It's called Project Paperclip. You can look it up. It's a fact. And so they recruited all of the Nazi scientists to Alabama, to create all these different things. We can get to the moon and all these different things. And it shows the creation of corn syrup and how it was strategically put in Black communities to harm us health-wise. And of course, it has like other storylines, like a love interest and like family and stuff. But the message is like the government's in control and all of this is intentionally put together and set up. And if you Google Project Paperclip, you'll literally see the recruitment of Nazi scientists to Alabama. And they gave them new names and passports and new identities and houses and NDA packages that were fully financed to say, you're from Alabama. And so there's a large there's a large German presence in Alabama, but it really came out of that.
Melissa, I don't know whether you would know the answer to this, but what is the effect of soybean or soy oil?
That is a
like
great
in Chinese food. They use a lot of that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've heard that people, cause I remember when soy milk came out, it was like, ooh, okay, soy milk, right? And Big Dairy was like, we're gonna kill you, soy milk. But then soy went to almond and then coconut, and now you could literally have any type of nut you want, and it's probably a milk, right? But I've heard people say that soy milk or like tofu has negative chances for folks that are looking to become pregnant one day. I don't know all the facts behind that, but I'm going to learn more about that with folks that have opted out of soy, because I hear that a lot of people that have endometriosis, like, I don't want to have a lot of soy. We're family planning. I don't drink soy milk anymore. It has alternative reactions to my period. So I'm going to learn more about that with the cast members telling their story. But right now, I don't know.
It's interesting.
I've heard that this oil that we use now, a lot of it for cooking and frying, is not all that good for you either.
Ooh, I believe it.
Once you start to look at like the calorie count on different things, like it's like if you have no plans to change your diet and you're just curious, it like will give you so much anxiety. But if you're looking to change, like it gives you great reason to. Like pretty much every oil you're gonna find, like even a tablespoon is like over 100 or like near 200 calories just for like a tablespoon of it. And like when you think about like how much goes into your like deep frying or when you're sauteing, or if you're just making like a little like pasta salad or broccoli salad or something, like it all adds up, and which is sad because oil is great.
Let me tell you, I have gallons in my system as a child, like, and I want to be very clear too that I'm not anti folks that eat meat. I don't want to come across as that, because that's not my thing. And if it wasn't for Susan, who told me about this as an option for myself, I still would be eating, the way that I was before. So I don't want to like knock anybody that is like, I'm not vegan, I'm not here for that. But I am curious to know like how our diet does impact our overall health, like our longevity, our quality, and even the access to it. I'm very interested.
There's another podcast that is called Ologies, and they did an episode especially about like just the vagina in general, about all the animals and the menstrual cycle and all that other stuff. And it was really cool that one part they were talking about just Americans and how many periods that they'll get in their lifetime compared to other places. And again, this is mind blowing to me because I'm like, man, that can't mean nothing more than it has to be society doing something like, it has to be the environment once you get to that point of like how much we run things differently than everyone else. But I'll have to send it to you guys or put in a link. But it was really interesting how different all just in different regions the body is just affected. So
it's fact. Like just there's disease that we have here in the United States that other countries just don't have. I mean, they just don't have it. Other countries are way more well versed in being able to prepare their own food, like literally from inception to consumption. Just their overall, or they don't have as much like human made food there. So like all these chips and candy bars and stuff, like sometimes you just can't find them, right, in other parts of the world. And you'll see like huge different health comparisons to people in other countries. And, the US is really good about like demeaning other countries and their way of life and the way that they do things, but they're actually thriving in other areas
Yeah.
thriving.
We just have
propaganda.
good advertising. That's it. Our
Yeah. We really
Hollywood,
marketing.
and that's it.
Well, this is and this is a big question. This This want to hear your thought, Melissa. Nothing crazy, but who is they to you?
Ooh, yeah. So I tell all my folks, I love Sierra. She's like,
Who?
so I always tell folks, I completely believe in secret societies.
It's Ronald Reagan to me. Sorry.
And I told my wife, as soon as I get an invitation, I'm bringing all my friends with me. Like I'm here for it, because I know that there's other decisions being made from people that are unseen, right? They're not on the radar, and they're literally having dinner, making decisions about all of our livelihood. I've seen it in smaller settings, and I'm like, got it. Can't wait for my invitation, because I'm so there. So in my mind, that's big pharma. That's they. It's definitely big dairy. That's they. And it's these different tech industries that maybe have started out as tech, but are influencing so many other things to make things more efficient.
Yeah,
so
like big data now.
Yep, big data. Yep.
Humans are the product.
We are the research subjects. We are the test. We are.
So, I mean, aside from, which I think is the best thing to do, what you're doing, which is like just getting a voice for everybody and using media for people to be able to like feel comfortable to say things. But like, how else do you think we as people can, get the power back, or how can we fight the power?
I feel like the youth are showing us that we need to visually document everything. I think personally, I feel like myself, especially working in different professional settings, there's still that little bit of fear about speaking truth to power publicly and fear of repercussion of something. So people will be like, I don't want to lose my job, so I'm just not going to say nothing, right? Or I don't want to miss out on this opportunity, so I'm not going to say anything. And so you'll know something to be true or harmful, and you just won't say anything because you're nervous about what could happen to you. But let me tell you, these youth, they could care less. They could care less. They're calling out everybody. Uncles, neighbors, teachers, pastors, everybody. That's wrong. That's unjust. That's racist. That's sexist. That's transphobic. They're calling it out, and they're saying we're completely done. And they're not afraid to make noise about it. And that's really how change happens, is when people, I'm tired and I'm going to make some noise about it. That's how we gotten anything done in society. It's all been through revolt. It's never been nice, right? It's never been nice. And people always say, like, we want peace, but in reality, it's never been peaceful. Change has never been peaceful.
I feel like a lot of people, they want more civility or politeness. Like, if you wanted peace, if you really want peace, you would want that equality and that equity and that freedom of information that people need to have about themselves and like the things around them, so that there aren't, different conflicts based on misinformation, different misconceptions about different people and different things, and a lack of understanding about how basic things work, like, your body, your medicine, your food, things like that. Like, oh, wait. Okay. So wasn't there a story like a few months ago about, like, isn't it illegal to record in a meat factory now?
Is
Wouldn't
it?
be surprised.
I went away a little bit, but I
didn't hear
I'm
about
gonna
that,
look.
but
That would depend on
it's really
state law.
intense.
because I know it's a thing, because I remember like in the 2000s, like, the animal rights people would like sneak into factories with like body cams and stuff and record. Is it illegal?
Ooh. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in factories that we aren't familiar with. And so I'm sure people were opening up the can of all kind of stuff.
I was going to say before I lose the thought too, because what Sierra said about people saying peaceful, and I wish we would all get along, and I wish everyone would be hunky dory. I sometimes think they may mix up peace and what they think is freedom as assimilation. I think they just want us. I think if I was really pressed the situation and really pressed what they really wanted, they really would like me just to assimilate as much as I can, or at least play my role and be okay with it. But I do feel like sometimes that's mixed up, where I would be like, let's just get along and be peaceful. When, I don't think freedom it's very peaceful, unfortunately, because you, like you're saying, it's going to be a constant fight for somebody wanting something.
Right.
I guess the same rights as everyone else, which is okay, but somebody's got to be aware of it, because I don't like conflict very much at all. I'm almost averse to it. So that's something I've been trying to get used to, of like, if I want change, I have to kind of be ready to rock the boat a bit.
To sound the alarm. And it's interesting too, because I mean, I completely feel you on a number of ways. I definitely was raised to be like, just don't mess anything up, right? Don't mess it up. Don't touch it. Don't ask any questions. Just like move through societies out of safety. And I can see how that worked for my mom, right? Or for my grandparents, who were just like, we're not trying to cause any trouble, because trouble is dangerous and it can really ruin our livelihood. So we're just not going to cause anything. But then there's something that clicks inside of you where you realize, but it's already dangerous when I'm quiet. Like, I didn't do anything and I'm still in trouble, or I'm still being attacked, or I still don't get to have access. So if the outcome is the same, I might as well say something, right? Or you get to a space where it's like, I'm going to be rejected or made fun of or talked about anyway, right? Whether I put something on or not. So why am I quiet, right? And when we think about people that are still like trying to find their voice, I mean, rightfully so. Society can be really harsh. They can be really mean, really, really harsh, and that's including people that are close to you. People will say horrible things to you or do horrible things to you just for you trying to exist. So that makes complete sense.
You're familiar with Audre Lorde too, right, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Because what you're saying sounds just like one of her essays she wrote. I was just like, about being silent. You're like, you're still dying, regardless.
Yeah.
Got to give a lot of credit to the people that have the courage to stand up for what's right in our society, because they may take a lot of abuse because of it.
Yeah, and courage is definitely the right word. And there's so many different types of courage. There's people that are like out on the front lines that we see on the news that are literally taking days off of work, right, to fight on behalf of all of us, which we need to celebrate. And then there's people that are in larger meetings that can't take days off of work, but they can fight like internal systems of oppression, right, in larger meetings us aren't privy to. There's some of us that are visually, taking a stand. Even podcasts like this, right? This is a form of activism in itself, right? Bringing folks on to have conversations that are sometimes uncomfortable, but it's like uncomfortable to who, right? Because the person that's suffering has always been uncomfortable. So like even this platform itself is a version of, speaking truth to power and giving people space to be themselves.
Wow.
We just have to hope that things keep improving in our society.
Yeah, it's true.
Things are getting better. They're more out in the open now, but I think that people are becoming more aware and things.
Yeah,
that is the goal, to leave the world better than when we got here. That is the goal.
I found an update on my meat question.
Oh yes, Sierra, yes.
Okay, so some states, almost like 10 years ago, basically, several states had like these laws that made it illegal to, come back. It was like illegal to investigate. It was illegal to record, I believe. And then some of those got struck down, but like they're calling them like ag-gag laws, like agricultural
ag-gag. Okay.
Ag-gag. So, and so like this says, Iowa did something, whatever. Okay. So in Alabama, for example, it says they prohibit possession of records obtained by theft or deception from an animal or crop facility. Iowa, there was an Iowa law that was like struck down that was criminalizing providing false information on an employment application with the intent to record images. So if you like pretended to want to work there so that you could put on like your body camera or whatever and record evidence, now that's illegal. That was illegal. And then the court struck the law down. In North Carolina and Arkansas, individuals and companies can sue whistleblowers for up to $5,000 a day.
A day
for gaining access to an employer's property to record sound or images and then use that in a way that damages the employer. So if you embarrass an employer with actual evidence of them doing something probably wrong, you can get fined $5,000 for every day you recorded them doing something wrong. There are also quick reporting bills. It doesn't say where, but this exists. And it's a crime to possess footage of animal abuse and not turn it to the authorities within 24 or 48 hours. So the point of that is to say, well, I found one picture of somebody kicking a hog, so I'm going to take it to the police. And the police are obviously going to say, okay, well, what do you want me to do with this one picture of this guy kicking a hog? Like, the point is to gather a lot of evidence and present it as like a pattern of abusive behavior, neglectful behavior of animals. And you can't do that if you have to turn everything over within 24 hours. I knew there was some kind of tomfoolery.
It's interesting to me about the development
legislatures
of
try to
crime.
protect the abuser.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Perpetually.
Exactly. I'm like, the development of crime, right? Like, you literally create something, right? And then society will say, oh, we don't like what you did with what we created. So now we're going to put a bill into place to make the way that you use what we created bad. And then when you do that bad thing, we're going to criminalize you and put you in jail. So now you can't do anything ever again. But the only reason you did the thing is because we created the thing. And it's just interesting.
Is that because we live in a capitalist society? Is it money based?
Oh, I see what you did there, Brandon. I see what you're doing there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like I feel like capitalism and patriarchy are like almost like chicken or the egg. You know? Tell me which one.
So we're gonna make a platform. We're gonna make the option for you to create a video. We're going to give you a cell phone, right? We're going to create cell phones, and then we're going to give you video capability on your cell phone. But like, don't use it to record anything that doesn't make us look good. But then we're going to always make sure that when the new cell phone comes out, you're going to have better camera quality. But like, don't use it to do anything against the feds or they. Because if you do, then you're going to jail. But it's only because we created this cell phone with this high quality camera. And so now I'm in jail for the rest of my life for videotaping. Work with me here.
Put it together. 1 + 1. Yeah.
What about the fact that that they passed laws to protect whistleblowers, but they don't seem to be holding up? Some whistleblowers have run into a lot of problems. Which, if they have an opposing person in control of the government.
Right. So I'm going to make a law to protect you, but then I'm going to also make a law that I can sue you. Right. So work with me here. Work with me here.
There was that one lady in Florida that we talked about who reported on was it like false COVID numbers or people asking them to suppress the COVID numbers?
And the government came to her house, right?
They freaking raided her house and pointed guns at her kids because she wanted them to acknowledge that there was a plague killing people in Florida. And she just got whistleblower status a few months ago, I want to say. But it when I like looked at it's like it doesn't mean anything. It's like I think it was like a state whistleblower status, which doesn't mean anything when the state is against you.
Wow.
It's a mess. It really is a mess. And it's like she was telling the truth. And y'all were like, oh, no, you're not. We're coming
crazy.
to your house. It's a thing.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not associated with these 4 people, Big Dairy.
Big Florida, don't
Big
come
Florida,
to me.
no matter.
All the bigs. All the
bigs.
Oh my gosh. But literally because of all of this, which is why I'm super excited to hear everybody's story, because my story is just mine, right? But these other 18 folks, they have their own stories. And what's so interesting is that these are folks that are from all different religious backgrounds. Because I know some folks think that all Black folks are Christian, and we're not. Just want to put it out there. All different religions, all different ages, right? There are folks that are literally, I think the youngest person on there is 23. And then the eldest person on there, maybe in their 50s. So all different ages, all different economic backgrounds, all different types of schooling, credentialing. We have PhDs, we have vocational folks, we have all that stuff. All different types of insurance too. So people have no insurance, some people have, Medi-Cal, some people have like HMOs, PPOs, some people work for the medical industry, and yet and still the outcomes are the same. And so that's important to know. And I wanted to make sure it was a cast that was as diverse in that area, so folks won't say, oh, it's a low income issue. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's an insurance issue.
I love it.
Oh, it's a age issue. It's like, no, this is racially motivated.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. That's always an excuse for, there's always going to be an excuse for it. So, and it's really cool to so how's it feel to be looking for your own crew of people? Were you aware of trying to make it as diverse as possible, or did it come really easy for you? Or you said 24 people came. Did you I don't know, more about the process, I guess.
So the process itself was trying to put some parameters about it, because when I first went in, y'all should know this, I'm one of those people, like, I have like a vision and then I'm like, oh, it can be done, but I don't really think about all the steps in detail at first. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna make a doc. And then you start looking at like what you can and can't do. And then like times of pandemic. So then I went to like the city to see what the filming restrictions were. And they were like, oh, permits. I'm like, what are those? They're like, oh yeah, you can't even do anything unless you have a permit. I'm like, I'll be back. And then it was like, oh yeah, so who's going to film it for you? I was like, oh, right, because it's not going to be me. Who's going to do that for what I can afford? Okay. And then it was like, oh, I still need a production assistant, because when I'm there, someone needs to help coordinate I need a venue. Oh, well, who wants to talk about periods? Okay, cool. It literally was like breaking it down, and it was so overwhelming to the point where I was like, I'm giving up on this. And then I had, again, Lisa and Kelly, I hit them up and they're like, oh, do you know about California Arts, where they're literally lawyers out there for artists? I was like, nah, had no idea. So I connected with them on licensing and the steps that I needed to create this. And I was like, okay, cool. And then the thing that I tell everybody is, your dreams are yours. What's for you is for you. Even if somebody gets inspired by your idea, they don't have the juice to execute it just like you. So you have nothing to be afraid of when you put something out there in the ether. You have nothing to be afraid of, because you have your own creative juice. And so Lisa and Kelly literally said, put it out there. And when I put it out there, people came and started offering up their services and their help and their support. And that's where the casting flyer came about. And they were asking me, like, what do you want to showcase? And I was like, okay, I want to talk about medical injustice against Black folks. And that's how all of it came about. But yeah, it literally started with a conversation like, I want to do this. No details. So for anybody out there that's like, oh, you have to have everything in line. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can just literally have the thought, and that's it. That's all that you need.
Rosie is really peeped into the conversation today.
Listen, Rosie's like, this is cool.
Rosie's like, this is my shit. This is what I came to. I want to be a part of the conversation. Rosie's never out here like this, commenting on stuff. Like,
Rosie was cracking. I missed you last time,
right?
Yeah, no, I'm loving this podcast. I mean, loving this episode. I feel very inspired. You're doing a great job.
Honestly.
Haven't watched much. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask, like, I assume, for example, the doctor that you had talked to that was very dismissive, and a lot of medical professionals probably do or would get very defensive, right? And the antidote to that, is that just more awareness from the actual patients, or are you trying to sway the doctor's opinions as well? Like, primarily, probably white male. I don't know.
So it's a bunch of different things, but I'm looking for some type of community activism and understanding in the creation of policies when it comes to like medical practices, because if you think about it, there's a father of gynecology, right? And that should like set things off to let everybody know, like, oh, this is how it started, right?
Perpetual.
And So when you just start with that, people go, oh, got it, right? It like kind of clicks like, oh, this was set up to be a shit show from the beginning, right? And then when we think about, well, how do we know about medical practices, right? They had to be tried on somebody, right? We had to try them first before we brought them to this governing body that approved them. And who do you try stuff on? People that have no power or say so. Mm-hmm. And so there's all this history, right, of white male clinicians doing harm on Black and brown, indigenous, enslaved folks that said, hey, we're just going to slice you open, pull your baby out, see how that works. Cool. Okay, we're going to shove things up you. We're going to press on you. We're going to do these things to you. Oh, that hurt. Okay, next time we won't do that. And so this really is to acknowledge the history around the cultivating of the medical field, like how this started, and to give honor to the folks that literally went through harm, right? Sometimes sanctioned harm, protected harm, to be able to establish these different procedures and things that are available to folks out in the world now. And then to ask ourselves, are our policies the most inclusive? And to look at insurance, right? Why doesn't insurance cover holistic health? Why does it take people to advocate for themselves to get insurance to cover chiropractic care, to cover hormone therapy, to cover acupuncture, right? To cover dietitian consultation? Like, why is that a struggle? Why is there not more research funding for fibroids, for uterine health trauma? Why is it not there? Why is that not something that people should be funding, right? Why is that not attention when people are literally dying and families aren't being created?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like, they think of the United States as like, but it's good now, especially white dudes. And the story of the Nazis, of how we brought them there, I think is just so telling. It's just
I'm gonna look it up right now so y'all can watch it. It's a series.
Please put it in the chat.
Jordan Hill, right? That's their name.
Yeah. When you said father of gynecology, it just like reminded me of like what a hellscape.
Did you almost pass out? Did you almost pass out?
It just reminded me of,
What does gynecology translate to? Is that the study
it's the study of the uterus and women's,
the uterus.
Women's
the
health.
Father of the uterus.
The father of the uterus, obviously. The father of knowing how the uterus works. It just like literally reminded me what a hellscape it is just to be a woman and exist. Like you just never know you just never know what's going to happen. Like it just like, it reminded me of this story I heard about, what is it called? It's like the husband stitch or something. Like if you give birth in some places, I'm not saying this is something that happens all the time, but like if you're going to have a baby, or if someone you love is going to have a baby, you make sure that they get their whole OBG team, their whole delivery team. They know who's coming in, who's coming out, get all that shit under wraps and know exactly who's doing it. Because I heard this story about in some places when you give birth, like you just split. Okay. Like the whole baby, there's like an 8-pound thing coming out of you. So everything is jacked up down there and they literally, Yeah. And they literally have to stitch you back up. Okay. Some doctors, some grown ass doctors will literally stitch you back together. They will add extra stitches to make your vaginal opening smaller, which is supposed to be more pleasurable for your partner. When in reality, they're stitching things together that aren't supposed to be stitched together. It's going to be incredibly painful for you, the person who just threw a whole baby out of you. It's going to be incredibly painful for you for literally anything vaginal related for however long it lasts. Sometimes if they do a really shitty job, it can be even lasting effects. Like after you've healed everything else from your childbirth experience, they'll just do that. They'll just be like, hey, dentist, you want me to, how low do you want me to go? And they'll just, they just do crazy shit and you won't know because you're passed the hell out.
Right.
You won't know until you wake up and you go home. It's terrifying.
Makes you think twice about wanting to have a child.
Makes you think twice about literally everything. It's a horror show to live here. Most of the time.
Y'all, it's serious. It is so serious. The show is called Hunters. Y'all have to watch this on Amazon Prime. It's Hunters.
Wait, is that a documentary or is that a movie?
It's a series. I don't know if it's a doc, it's just a series. Hunters. It's hella good.
I will find it.
Yeah, Hunters. But yeah, it's serious. It's so serious.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite part of, I know you're still in pre-production, so I can't ask you, like, you know, if you loved like shooting the scene or going to this place, but like what's been your favorite part so far of the actual filmmaking process?
Watching the videos, watching the audition submissions, because people are so, you're your most authentic self there, right? You have your phone.
Right.
And in my mind, they filmed it like a couple of times and sent me like the version they felt.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
I think I relate to that so much as someone that submits stuff myself, like how vulnerable that space is and just how precious that is to be able to share that something is going on and you have found community and you're not afraid to share that with another person that gets it. So I think that part has been just like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know, it makes me really proud to know that other people are finding their voice. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine I'm going to be all in it, all teary-eyed when we actually film. I know it. And I know the launch, I'm gonna need to have 2 hours prior so I can just cry it all out before I actually go on there because it's a journey. It's a journey.
They sent you 2-minute like monologues or just like personal bios or what did they?
Yeah, so for the casting call, I had them state they had to identify as Black, like self-identify. So you're Black, but they had to, self-identify. They had to be ages 18 to 65, live locally, and then have dealt with or overcome a uterine health challenge. And so they just had to explain that in the 2-minute video and why they want to be a part of the project.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Are any of you ever thinking about doing anything creative when it comes to like visual creative? Any projects in that area?
I'm working on and I'm like still very like early developing writing like an animated something. I don't know what yet.
Yes.
It's either a series or probably I don't know if like a series or a movie. I don't know yet.
That is so cool.
But I want to make something that is like either all or like highly predominantly like Black cast and like Black cast and Black characters and something that reflects like my primary goal is just something that reflects like all the different shades that we come in and like having more like dark skin prominence on screen is what I'm like super excited for. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I'm working on a project about like young Black creative girls with a friend of mine as well.
I love that. That sounds so great.
We're super excited.
Yeah, it's great.
Brandon, are you working on anything
for the Black cause?
Anything at all?
Yeah.
Just this podcast is the only creative thing I've been doing sort of recently. So fortunately and unfortunately, I've just been so like busy and stuff. But yeah.
Yes. This podcast is so dope. I was just telling my partner yesterday, I was like, I think the concept is really, really dope.
Yeah. I look forward to it every week. So
yes. Brandon, are you in your kitchen right now?
I live in one room, so
yeah.
The studio. Yeah.
You're always in your kitchen.
I literally, I'm in my bathroom. I'm in my kitchen. I'm on my.
You're in all of
my roof. I'm in my kitchen. Yeah. So.
We need to plan out our cooking episode for real.
Real.
So, what do you think Brandon should cook?
Kitchen. You can cook back there.
Oh my God. Are you like obsessed with cooking? Are you a chef?
He's really bad at it.
Obsessed.
He needs a lot of help. So what would your recommendation be for something that would be really good that he could make?
So first of all, Brandon, I feel you because I can only cook 4 things. One of those things are Jello shots. So, I feel you. So like if you need that, clearly I'm the one.
I would love to be able to cook Jello shots. You
you could totally do it.
It's easy, right? You just put alcohol in the Jello.
Listen, but there's an elixir you have to put together, right?
Oh, you gotta
I thought
do
the
it,
same
yeah.
thing. And then it was like, oh, there's an additional like 1 or 2 steps. I was like, this is getting complicated. But yeah, have you tried making soup?
Everybody says that it's easy to make, and I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Which is why I never use the word easy when it comes to cooking, because I told you I can only make 4 things. So
Yeah.
So what are the other 2? What are the other 2?
I can make rice. I can really make some rice. Perfect
That's
texture.
hard to do. Rice is
every
hard.
time. I can make rice. I can make salmon.
Okay.
I can make salmon. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep. And then with the air fryer, I can make any vegetable taste bomb.
Air fryer gang.
And with those 4 things, I feel accomplished as an adult.
You're like the sushi avatar over here.
I'm just
Sushi is
telling you.
hard. Yeah, rice is hard.
Sushi.
Both of those are hard.
Jello shots. Salmon.
Not to sidetrack, I just want to say Grandpa has a lot of, like, you have a bunch of good video equipment, right? And like a lot of, so if you ever need like a pickup shot of something, I don't know, you could.
Yes. So Grandpa, when you come into Cali?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, Melissa?
Yeah. When are you coming to California?
Oh, why don't I come out to California?
Yeah.
You say?
Do it.
Well,
Yeah.
I've lived in California and I loved it. But I
Did
came
you?
back east,
What the
to help
fuck,
with the
Grandpa?
situation with my mother.
Where?
This is
When
kind
did
of,
you live in California?
This is kind of off the subject a little, but I'm assuming, for reasons that are obvious, that your cast is mostly women.
Yeah, it's primarily, but we do have folks from all different genders that are on the cast too, which is really, really cool. Where in California did you live?
I lived in Hollywood.
Oh,
On Franklin Street for a while, and
okay.
and in trying to think of the other town, just west of Hollywood. Boy, my brain right now is not functioning, but yeah, I lived in that area for some time.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness, what did you do in Hollywood?
Well, I worked for a commercial video company, actually, or it was actually film company. They did commercials for Revlon, Honda, Afrosheen. It was called Wakeford Orloff. I'm going back 50 years ago. I don't know whether they're even in existence anymore, but they hired me to be a stage manager, which I knew nothing about. And I remember being very envious of the guys that were grips or driving the Honda motorcycles for the advertisement.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you've been about this media life.
Yes, man.
Well, not really. I didn't know what I was doing. Primarily, they called me a stage manager, but primarily what I did was watch all their equipment and help to get it on set. That was really primarily my job. These big, huge Mitchell motion picture cameras and lighting equipment and that sort of thing.
That's
Some managers
amazing.
do even less.
Right.
But now it's all digital, so you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a stage manager for some theater productions. Actually, for are y'all familiar with Vagina Monologue?
Yeah.
I've heard of
That
them,
sounds.
yeah.
It sounds familiar though.
Yeah, I mean, it started out as somebody doing like one monologue. Her name was Eve Ensler. Did one monologue all about the different things that like folks went through with their vagina. But then it turned into like this scripted production that got sold to all these different like community organizations, where so people can literally get the script and perform the monologues. And so at the school that I used to work at, they would have a cast of all these different folks, and I would choreograph the production, and we do all the acting to make sure the cast ready to go. And I had to do stage management for that. It's actually not an easy job.
Mhm.
It's not an easy job. So all the behind the scenes stuff is how the magic happens. So even if you were just watching the equipment or make sure the equipment was on point, that job is still relevant. It's not easy. There's so many moving parts to getting all this TV.
Yeah. Really takes a village.
For real.
Well,
For
if you
real.
ever need a PA, Grandpa has experience. So.
Oh yeah, he's not messing around. Okay, Hollywood.
Professional in his field, bro.
What about you, Phines? What do you have going on?
What part of California are you located in?
So I'm in Sacramento. I grew up in Southern California, and I'm in
Uh-huh.
Sacramento right now.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Finest, what's your creative endeavor?
Wife. I have this podcast. I have 2 other podcasts.
Wow.
I
Gets around.
do.
Yeah.
I draw a lot. I want to write something. Hopefully, I don't know if I want to do a graphic novel or if I want to do more like the Peanuts, like a comic strip.
Yeah.
I don't know if my I don't know if I'm looking for too much. I think because I'm a Black male and I'm an artist, I'm sure some of that will come out. I'm almost positive just because that's my perspective, but I don't have no agenda of like making big changes. Most of it's probably like inner stuff, inner monologue, like, just more like things that I think about, which race and stuff is involved with that, but that, I want to really start tagging the city. I've been really getting into graffiti. I've been really getting into art more and more all the time and starting to look at the artists I like and starting to see. And I was like, I want to take my hand at not really tagging anything like spray paint, but I wouldn't mind kind of going out there and just, if nothing else, just kind of like take some pictures of the cool graffiti.
Yeah.
So that's what's been going on with me, art wise. I wouldn't mind.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I went on this college tour so my daughter's 16 and it's like college tour season. And I'm pretty sure my wife and I have done this to her. We've kind of made her like a baby Black Panther. So she's all about HBCUs right now, which we're like totally here for. And we went on one of these college tours where they had graffiti walls, like intentional graffiti walls for students that wanted to write or create in their downtime when they're coming out of class on the weekends. And they made it to where I think it's University of North Carolina, Greensboro. They have it's like a graffiti section. So literally it's intentional. You sign up for the week and you can create the campus body in graffiti art. And it's intentionally put on the campus. And I really love that because, it wasn't too long ago where graffiti was criminalized.
Yeah.
Again, crime.
Right.
As something that was bad. But it really is tremendous art. And as someone that can't draw, I think it's super dope.
Yeah, there's this one artist. She was I think it's somewhere in California too. She was taking abandoned houses and that no one do anything with and doing art projects about them, like painting them like something really bright instead of making the neighborhood look so disenfranchised. Or to be funny, I think she would make them colors of like advertisements, like or just to kind of be facetious, I think. But still, there it is. There's a like a house that's just sitting there, and then people can make art of it in the neighborhood. And at first, it's still the whole thing. We talked about like this before, where people will come in and go, "What are you doing to your neighborhood? What are you doing? Let me arrest you for. Let me make this a big deal that you're doing this to your neighborhood, and how dare you?" And they're really just trying to make art out of whatever they can,
Right.
So I'm into it.
Did y'all see that Juneteenth special last weekend on ABC?
Mm-hmm.
They had like a whole ensemble. Chloe Bailey sang, Nina Simone. It was perfect.
I saw her performance, and she killed it. I don't get why people are upset about her. She's amazing. They didn't know.
They don't know, but it's fine. Yeah. She's perfect. Anyway, but before that, there was they were highlighting different Black businesses and different Black projects, different Black activism. And there was this one guy who I think he was doing like art projects. He like does art projects with students. And they would like plan out what they were going to do. And they would have these huge wide shots of them. Like they would like choose like what they were going to do, or they would have a theme, and each student would like say like what they want to do for their part of like a whole mural or something or a project. And then they had all these huge wide shots of him like making the art, like bringing it to life. And like I don't know how the students were involved in helping. I don't know if he's teaching them the graffiti or what, but I only remember seeing the wide shots of him. And I was watching it with my family, and we were just talking about how crazy it is that people like it's one thing to draw like a beautiful piece of artwork, like on a piece of paper or on your tablet or on the computer. But like when you have a whole, like, I don't know, like 50 by 80 foot wall.
Mhm.
Like, to make something beautiful and precise, like on that scale, was just so crazy.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
We have quite a bit of that in Philadelphia. I think the city was paying artists to come and paint on buildings, and but the ones that are not paid for, I can't figure out how they get up on these bridges and everything, and paint these huge graffiti things. It's just amazing to me. How can they do that? You know,
Athletic and talented, right?
The adrenaline like fuels your creativity.
And they're putting
Right.
like, and it's, man, I can talk about this all day. Yeah, they have to like to frame it too. Like, it's something so big on a bridge, right? You're like just a couple kids. They gotta make this. Like, it's hard to measure that out. You gotta know a blueprint for that type of thing. You gotta be able
there's
to.
no way to get on the side of the bridge.
And they do
they're
it.
standing up above where they're painting.
That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
understand how they could do it.
Like,
And
you're
it
doing some
probably-
kind of like Spider-Man stuff. and
Exactly.
it's just
And
fueling you.
yeah, right. And if they don't have a mask on, they're high right now too. They're probably high on. So it's just,
High on
that's the
art,
real fuel.
literally.
That's-
yeah,
that's
they were doing a lot of stuff up there. Yeah, it's crazy.
For real. For real.
So, tell me again, Melissa, when do you expect your film or movie to actually be shown?
Yeah, so the goal right now is to get it out Black History Month, so February of next year. That is the goal.
February of 22.
2022.
Right. Okay.
Of 22.
And can you repeat what the name of it will be?
Yeah, so the name is going to be My Sister's Keeper with a C. Cyster.
Can you repeat
My
that?
Sister's
I'm
Keeper.
having a hard time hearing right now.
I like that.
It's My
volume
Sister's
is very
Keeper. My Sister's Keeper.
low. My Sister's Keeper. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
With the play on words for sister to put cis. Cyster.
I like that.
Clever.
I've been calling it MCK. So now I can tell y'all. So when MCK launches,
Wow, sounds like a makeup brand or something. Yeah, it sounds.
don't
great.
it?
Yeah.
Don't it?
It would be super cool to do an episode of like a retrospective to have the both, come back on once it releases.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Can I cry for the first hour? Is that okay?
Okay.
Can we do a short clip of it on our program when it comes out?
Come
That
back
would
when
be
you have a
beautiful.
teaser,
Up to
bro.
Melissa.
Yeah.
Totally
come back when you
up
have
to
a teaser. or something.
Hey, okay.
Yeah,
Come back
please,
every
yeah,
week,
show
but
us,
also
yeah.
come back especially when you have a
Sierra's
teaser.
like, no, like 3 weeks, but then like that too.
I'm like, would you like to stay forever?
I love y'all back. And I didn't know that all of y'all were in different spots. I think that is
Yeah, we've never
Yeah.
met. Well, they've met. I've never met anybody.
Yeah. I used to live
Like
on the
in
same
person.
street as Phines, and Sierra have never even been in the same city as.
Mm-mm.
I'll be in Chicago. I
And
think
so-
I'll be in Chicago pretty. I don't know. I know I'll be in Indiana here soon, so maybe in Chicago.
Close
I have to
enough.
hit you up.
We're gonna do a live episode one day. That's my
Hey,
Bless you.
dream.
yes.
My fucking dream. But
Listen, then we'll all be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We can make it happen.
For real.
Yes. How long has the podcast been out?
What is this? 43, 44?
This is gonna be 40. Well, not counting the one that I don't have access to.
Yeah.
This is 41.
41. Okay, but we've skipped some weeks, so it
Yeah,
might.
yeah.
When is our 1 year? That's coming up real quick.
We started it. Our first episode, I think, dropped in September. So we're getting
September.
close.
That's pretty crazy.
We'll have to do something important.
I
don't
know. I'm gonna find that out actually. Grandpa and
Look at this. Look at all this talent that came about during the pandemic. I feel like
Right?
that's
Pretty
really
cool.
appreciated.
You did it.
Create space for people to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the world is doing whatever it's doing, I feel like the world ended and we're like it's being reborn.
we're getting to that
Jeez.
time, but I'd love to do last
Mhm.
thoughts of everybody. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. I just want to say that I've found this a very interesting podcast, and it's very encouraging to me to know that you can basically cure certain ailments just by changing your diet, and something to really look into. It's terrific to be able to think you can do that.
Yeah, sure. I really like how your mind works, and just you as a person, and enjoy. I just enjoy our conversations. It seemed like something like you seem like I mean, not in general, but you seem like it would be fun to kick it with you and talk a bunch of different stuff. And I really enjoy what you're doing, and it is very uplifting, and it's got me pumped. I'm hyped. I'm ready to turn this off and make more art. I mean, not that this ain't art, but just like I'm ready. I'm ready to do my thing. And thank you for coming out here and sharing it.
Yes.
Yes. Let me know.
In New York. Yes.
Thank you so much.
That is so sweet. And same for all of you. A mantra I live by, and I tell everybody this, it's quoted by Steve Harvey, called Afraid. And I feel like it's important, even though it's so short, because fear is a thing that everybody experiences. They don't talk about it, but people are fearful to express themselves, try new things, to meet people, stuff out there. And then don't be scared as if, now I'm not scared because you told me don't be scared, right? Like that's not real. Like when you're doing something new or innovative, it's taking a leap of faith on yourself. It's scary. But the other part of it is do it, which is like, but did you still upload it? Did you still talk about it? Did you still submit? Did you still inquire? Actions on you, right? So you can be hella scared, but did you still do it? And for me, living by that is 2017. Right. In life, things that we don't know about are scary, but did the leap of faith and bet on myself. So I'm sharing that with all of you.
Thank you so much. Sierra, your last thoughts?
You have a very pleasing personality, and I think it's going to bring you a lot of success.
You are. You're literally like one of my favorite guests. I'm always excited when you come on. I was never going to miss this episode because I knew you were going to be here. I'm so glad you're talking about this, because it's something between this and like sex ed and all these other different issues that, young people and eventually, older people have to deal with, because, initially it's not addressed. It's so important. I'm literally so excited for your film and for your project, and like literally any updates. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I'm going to tell everybody about it. I hate your doctor. He sucks. That's not, I'm going to wake up at like 2 a.m. just angry at that person again. But that's not the point. This is great. I'm so excited. I'm really, really glad that you were able to come on and we were able to do this, because I think it was great.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much for the support. I'm definitely keeping y'all posted. I'm going to tag you on it and repost everything like I already do, but like times 10. And keep y'all in the loop. And hopefully, maybe y'all can come out to the launch. That would be cool. Or maybe I can
That'd be amazing.
And talk about it. Yeah.
Give me an excuse to come to Sacramento. Oh,
boy.
Give
me an excuse to leave Illinois. Please.
We're going to slide this episode into your doctor's DMs.
In Big Dairy. Hey,
Big Dairy.
Brandon, what's your last thoughts, brother?
I am very grateful for Melissa. This was like one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. You're also one of my favorite guests we've ever had, because I mean, we've joked about it a bunch, but every time you come on, that 15 minutes is always like, oh my God, positivity. Like,
yes,
why am I so
literally.
Right? Yeah. It's like a genius talent of yours. And I learned a lot. I really enjoyed the conversation. And I'm just super happy we did this. And I'm super happy we're back. We took like almost 3 weeks off. And I missed you guys.
Yes.
And thank you to Phines. Thank you to Sierra, Grandpa. I love you. Those are my last thoughts. So.
I love you, Brandon. And I know you have a birthday coming up around, what is it, the 18th?
29th. You're close.
29th.
So only halfway. But anything. Oh, please share where people can find you, Melissa, and all that stuff. We're going to put in the comments too and all that stuff. But
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me at Muganzo Entertainment on Melissa_Muganzo on Twitter. You can also check out me, check out my entertainment.com.
Sweet.
Are there any socials or anything for the
Like
the
a
project
page?
yet, or no?
No, yet. Not yet.
Cool. We can edit the the note
I'll
section
go
after
back
the
and
fact.
add it.
Yeah. We can. So.
Whenever.
Okay.
Sweet.
I'll definitely keep y'all posted. Thank y'all so much, and I hope y'all have a wonderful evening.
Podcasting with Grandpa Bart and Rosie, always on his shoulder. This is Grandpa and Chill.
Grandpa and Chill is brought to you by your hosts, Brandon Fox, Bart Frank, and Phines Jackson. Our producer is Sierra Doss. You can find episodes old and new on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch the show, and follow us on Twitter for behind-the-scenes moments you can't get anywhere else.